if I tell you that you have unlimited budget,
Right.
and you can buy whoever you want,
Right.
which player would you choose for your team?
Ooh.
So yesterday I was with Mohammed Ali, it's the Cinderella of the Indian League, and today I'm with the founder, with the CEO. Actually, no, we're not the founder.
With the president.
With the president of Goa Football Club.
Cheers. Thank you.
Akshay Tandon.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. Akshay, how old are you?
I'm 33 years old.
33 years old. Can we say that you are the one of the youngest owner of a team in the world?
I don't know about that. I mean, like, there's a couple.
I tell you, I checked. You are one of the youngest. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like, there are a couple of owners and co-owners even in the ISL that are quite young. But yeah, as in, I guess, sort of being the president and running a football club, like, generally the age in India is typically quite old, or I guess all over the world it's pretty old.
Yeah. Meanwhile, we are watching his team training. All the players are there, and I think they are training a little bit harder because they know you are here watching.
Yeah,
But
possibly.
anyways, how does it feel to be one of the young owner of a team, of a professional football team?
It feels kind of like it's, I mean, what I tell people is that it's very exciting and very terrifying at the same time. You know, it's like two sides of the same coin of like being in a constant state of like, you know, like it's a very emotionally charged job.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like no matter how much time goes and how many games you watch, at the end of it, like whether you win or lose in a match is gonna impact like the next 5 days of your life, you know.
To your private life also.
Yeah, as in your mood changes, you know, like how you're feeling, like either people are messaging you on your phone and telling you congratulations and great job and, you know, things are going so well, top of the table, winning, or they're like, oh, you know, like the goalkeeper should not have made that mistake, and then, or like this happened and maybe next time you'll do better. So, you know, from the fans, the press, the media, the friends, the family, everyone kind of like rides that emotional wave of winning and losing, and then, you know, but I'm hoping that slowly things will start to stabilize.
Yeah. Right now you are one of the pioneers of the Indian football, because it's something that's evolving in the last years. It's a new movement, and you are one of the first owner of the football team. So
yeah, as in like football has been in India for a very long time, but with the ISL starting about 6 years ago, there's definitely been like a new sort of wave of energy, excitement, money, brands, optimism around football. The country's ranking has gone from about 176 to about 99 or 101 around, you know, so things are improving and things are looking good. And yeah, like it's like 3 years ago I used to say that we're at the like ground zero of football. Like today I can say, you know what, like with everything that's changed, we're probably now at the first floor. It's no longer like zero in terms of global football as a context. You know?
So how many years do you think you need to reach an international level?
I think the first challenge is to reach or be competitive at the Asian level.
Okay.
And you know, we are starting to do well in Asian competitions. The national team is doing okay. You know, Bengaluru FC, which is another club which won the league last year, did pretty well in the Asian level in the last couple of years. So it'll take another maybe 3 to 5 years for us to perhaps start making more inroads in the Asian level, and maybe another, you know, anywhere between 8 to 12 years for us to, you know, start producing players that people around the world might start considering as a way to access Indian markets and stuff. So yeah, like it's a marathon, you know.
It is.
Yeah, like it's not a race.
And you have to be ready to suffer all those years, because right now it's just you're doing a job of long-term. It's a long-term bet.
Yeah, you know, I mean, like the more you suffer, as you say, the more you like the more you learn, or the more opportunity there is to learn, you know, like the more pain you have in a particular situation, and the more conflict that is there with the existing systems, existing structures, it also means that there's more opportunity, right? But yeah, as in, unfortunately, that will also mean that we'll all have white hair a lot faster than we should.
Yeah, because you are preparing the road to the one that will come after you, because now the road is very difficult, very dangerous to take. But now in 10 years, all the other that will come, they are gonna find a road already, you know, ready to be walked. So it's very courageous from you, very brave from you. And from what I read, from what you like, what you would like your team to be, you are more of an offensive president, let's say. You want an offensive game.
Right. I think, you know, when we were looking at what kind of football we wanted to establish, what kind of culture we wanted to create, and the conclusion that I reached, you know, after trying to study what happens all over the world, is that, you know, we have to be aggressive. We have to be aggressive in and unapologetic, you know. We have to kind of say that this is the kind of football we're going to play. We're going to play attacking football. We want the national team to be playing attacking football. Now they've actually started doing that in the last couple of years. So it's very easy for our players to start sort of adjusting to the national team as well.
But you think you influence them? You influence the national team?
I don't think we influenced the national team. I think we knew, or we took a risk in saying that we feel like this is the direction in which sort of football is heading, and more countries and more people and clubs are starting to play a more possessive, like a possession-based attacking style of football, you know. Sure. And you know, like the general thinking when I came in was that Indian players are not good enough to start playing like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, we were like, yeah, they will never be good enough to start playing like that if they don't play like that, you know. And year one was a bit risky because we were seeing glimpses of like brilliant attack, but we weren't necessarily good in a defensive structure. But now in 3 years that we have been playing like that, you can see that Indian players are very comfortable playing like that, and you know, things are slowly developing and growing in that direction.
Wow, no, very interesting. You saw the trend before the other teams, so you follow the trend before the others.
Like can't take credit for seeing the trend before the others. It was more about, I think, taking a perhaps slightly risky choice that others in Indian football have taken in the past as well, you know. But I think the timing of us taking the decision that we have has been good. You know, we're now known as the most entertaining team in the country, and that was the goal. You know?
Yeah, and that is why you are at the top of the chart. But you are, let's say, offensive also in other ways, in other positive ways, because I read that you have new plans. You are a sort of visionary president. You want to create something new for your team, something that involves the sustainability for your team.
Right. You know, so we are in like we are fortunate to be in a beautiful place like Goa.
Yeah, it is.
You know, it's got everything that you want from, you know, your lifestyle, you know. And right now, for example, in Delhi you have these record levels of pollution, and I'm sure everyone over there was hoping that they were in a place like this, and we're fortunate enough to be in a place like this. And but you know, like as patrons of sort of the Goa brand, because we operate the football club, like we felt like whatever we did had to have a sustainability angle in our sort of message to, you know, the world, you know, like as FC Goa and as Goa. In a small way, we, for example, now are trying to operate a waste-free stadium, right? So all our games, we have a way of not throwing anything out, but making sure that everything is recycled and probably kept. But in the future, we are now developing concepts and ideas for a football academy, hopefully a football village, which will be built on principles of sustainability, and, you know, an example of how people can develop or how they should develop Goa in the future as well. So it's about, you know, integrating everything from solar to rainwater harvesting to grey water management to our indoor farming and farm to table sort of kind of like restaurants or kitchens. And yeah, so it's a pretty exciting time.
Zero wasting. So you try to make all by yourselves, no wasting but creating.
Right, as in from, say, like we're operating on a model that we're developing called net positive living.
Yeah.
And so the football academy hopefully will be one example of that. And the idea is, you know, how do we make a development which is creating instead of consuming? Like, you know, you have a building today that takes in water, that takes in energy, that takes in resources, and it throws out sewage and, you know, grey water and waste.
Yeah.
So how can we create, if we are looking at large parcels of land, say for a football academy, which is going to be spread over many acres, how do we create a system, you know, for a beautiful place like Goa as an example, where we, rather than consuming, we are creating, you know, and we want FC Goa to be champions of that sort of like those values and those virtues as like of sustainability, because, you know, that's what Goa, I feel like, can represent for the whole country.
Great. I think that I never heard something like that, and so I would be glad that you do something like that. And I had the chance and the pleasure to interview. You know, just I can say, you know, I interview that visionary that was Akshay. I have a question for you. Which is the team that inspires you in Europe, let's say?
I would say sort of different things about different teams sort of inspires me. I'm inspired by Athletic Bilbao because they have been committed to the principles of only sort of recruiting players from, you know, their region.
I like it.
And like they've stuck to that model.
They managed to be great.
And they managed to stay at a competitive level in La Liga throughout their entire history. You know, they've never been close to relegation as such.
Yeah.
Then
you said AC Milan for consistency.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you have examples of clubs, obviously, which have a lot of access to resources and revenue, but you know, when you have a system where you have a new sort of voting membership program, I mean, that to me is not necessarily a solution for consistency, because players, you know, because the management is perhaps at the risk of always changing every couple of years. Then, like, I've learned a lot from, say, like second division and third division clubs in like Spain and Portugal. You know, like I mean, like in the sense, because, you know, that's the level at which we are playing. We aren't playing at the top level, right? So us trying to emulate and learn what, for example, a Barcelona is doing, like, is limited, because we aren't necessarily competing for the same audience or the same kind of players or any of that, right?
So you think that Goa, that now is like one of the best team in India, can compete in a second division in Europe?
We'll struggle, but if there is a place to compete for us, that is where I'd like to be. You know, like second and third division, between like, say, the bottom of the second and maybe the top of the third is where we'd like to be competing. You know.
Okay.
I mean, like like that's the level I feel where we are as a team. You know, as a consistent, like with our foreigners and our Indian players, I think.
Right now, let's talk about in 5-10 years. Maybe it's gonna change.
Yeah, let's see. Yeah.
Cool. And if I tell you that you have unlimited budget, and you can buy whoever you want, which player would you choose for your team? I'm sure that you thought about it at least once.
No, I've
never. Like, you have all the budget you want, and any player would say yes. So you can ask to anyone. Tough question.
See, as in like the reason I don't have an answer to that, because I feel like it's the wrong thing to do.
Okay,
Like,
nice.
Introducing, say, a very you know, a very expensive, very high-profile player will take the attention from the development, you know. Like, you know, we don't want to be pulling crowds because we have a star player. We want to be pulling crowds because they know someone who didn't have a chance to be a professional footballer 4 years ago is now all of a sudden representing the country, you know.
Muhammad Ali t-shirt, jersey, let's say one.
So, like I feel like, you know, players that are bigger than a club or bigger than a place don't have a place here right now because it will send the wrong message. You know?
Okay, so I'll rephrase the question.
Yeah.
Which is your favorite football player in the world?
I think, I mean, like, it's definitely got to be Messi for the magic, you know. Like, it's definitely got to be Messi for the magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah. It can be whether one or the other.
Yeah.
Now, you know that I'm traveling around the world for a project about happiness.
Right.
I would like to ask you 2 questions.
Right.
About happiness. What does make you happy in your job, and what does make you happy in your private life?
Like, say when, like in my work, I would say when things play out the way that you kind of scripted, you know, like say when people ask me right now, like, oh, like, what are you excited about what's going on right now and how the team is performing? It's like, you know, like I kind of have to lie because I'm not, like, I'm no longer planning this season. I'm planning season, you know, the next season, the season after that.
Nice.
And, you know, so when those seasons kind of play out the way that you are planning today, you know, you're kind of just smiling to yourself because, you know, like there's only a few of you that you're kind of sharing that sort of moment with. And it's like, oh, look, we planned this, we created this, and now it's happening, you know. And that happens every day at a small level for something or the other, you know, which is there. And personally, I would say that, say when you're with your family, like when I'm with my wife or when I'm with, say, my family, and you know, you are having those moments where you're just being like fools, you know, where you're not talking about work, where you're not talking about anything serious, we're not talking about anything money related. It's just about, like, say, like, you know, like acting stupid on the beach, like with your dogs or something like that, you know, like simple moments, you know, simple joys.
But can you really switch off the job?
Yeah, I mean, when you really switch off, like more like when you switch on to kind of be like that child, you know, like, I mean, like everyone has a child within you, no?
Yeah.
And like you get to behave like that only around people that you are, say, closest to, or, you know, your friends, your family. And when you switch off from your work and you get into that zone to just, like, you know, have fun, make, you know, like make small jokes, kid around, like laugh for no reason, things like that. Yeah?
Nice. Yeah. Thank you very much, Akshay.
No,
I'm very glad that we met, and I thank you very much that you allow me to, you know, to meet all your players.
Yeah, cheers, man.
Because I think that, you know, I'm beside a person that can shape this league and can change the future of this league. So I'm very glad to have met you.
Like, it's nice of you to say.
Thank you.
I think there's a lot of us in India, you know, that believe that one day we will have 1 billion people following football. You know, so I'm just one of those, like, maybe thousands of people that, like, share that vision.
Guys, remember FC Goa, and remember Akshay, because he's gonna change the Indian football.
Cheers. Thanks, man.
Ciao.